See, this is one of the problems when you're dealing with companionship and you're dealing with relationships, anything with a ship at the end of it. The biggest problem dealing with the so-called black community is um, the feminist movement. When you're dealing with the feminist movement and everything that you've been taught, and you a sister out here, you an educated so-called black female, and you have the independent mind frame, everything that you've been taught from when you came out your mother's womb, especially if it was an unbalanced relationship with your mother and your father. If you had an unbalanced relationship and you didn't have no stability in your household, which was consistent, it was consistent stability, then your mental um, choices will be questionable. It's questionable. Look at the so-called black women right now, the ones that don't have a man in their life, the ones that want to be independent. Now I'm talking to the educated ones, and I'm also talking to the ones that just live off the government, either or. When you're looking for a man, even the ones that's not looking for a man, you're not looking for a man or you're looking for a man. It's always going to boil down to your mindset and how you was raised. How you was raised and your mindset. And you wonder why these men are not uh, paying attention to you. Paying attention to you. Okay, let's break down the word attention. Because all this intel that I'm giving out right here, it's going to come to an end. People are going to have to pay for the intel. But I'm going to break down the word attention for you. What is is the A. What is the A? The A is the beginning of the alphabet. What is the beginning of the alphabet? That is first. The A is first. So when you're dealing with 10, what is the 10? That's why my name is New Bright 10. What is the 10? The 10 deals with the quantum computer, dealing with ones and dealing with zeros. Now, why would a man deal with a zero? A man's not finna deal with a zero. A man's going to deal with that one. Attention. A, the one. So if somebody's giving you their attention and they're paying attention to you, this is what it is. They're giving you their utmost respect of what they are listening to and what they are getting back and what they are processing in their mind. They're paying attention to you. That's the utmost respect, is learning from someone. So that's when they say paying attention. Because paying attention, that's why it's called paying attention, because you have to pay for it. You have to pay for attention. And breaking down the word attention, once again, the A, is the 1. 10 is the quantum physics. That's why a lot of these men don't, the majority of these men that have an intellectual mind frame, they're not going to deal with zeros. They're not going to deal with a woman that has a zero mind frame. A zero mind frame is a woman that's stuck in her own reality that's not reality. See, when you're stuck in your own reality, it's not reality, because your own reality is what you believe in. Not dealing with the key words. What are key words? See, when you're dealing with an intelligent man like myself, when you're dealing with an intelligent man like myself and the other intelligent men that are out here, because they're out here, we catch everything. Everything that you say, everything that you do, we break it down quickly. We don't have to go do research. We don't have to go Google your name. We don't have to do none of that, because everything that you say and everything, when we interact with you, we already are picking up. We are Google. Put it like that. An intelligent man is Google dealing with a woman, because we're processing everything that you say. We're catching everything that you say. Now, if you want to go deal with a regular man, and that's your choice, if you want to go deal with somebody who's a regular, that's fine. Go deal and find you a regular man. But a lot of these women are starting to be attracted to intelligent men. Somebody who is a intellectual, and somebody who's coming with something that's somebody who's always like with me. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm funny, right? I catch a lot of bullshit, and I'm on point with majority of the stuff that I talk about. So when you want to deal with somebody like me, I'm gonna catch everything that you say. Keywords. I'm gonna give you a couple of. I'm not gonna give you all the keywords, but I'm gonna give you a couple of keywords what intelligent men look for to see where your mindset's at. We always gonna see where your mindset's at. One key word is believe, right? And I'm gonna put it in phrases like when a woman says, "Well, what I believe is," see, that's one. Then when they say, when they use I and me, me, believe, um, but. See, all these key words we catch because you're not dealing with a regular. See, the regulars go deal with regulars. An intelligent woman will understand an intelligent man. Regulars go deal with regulars. Intelligence deals with intelligence. That's just the way the world is balanced. And see, you have a lot of women out here that's trying to deal with men that are intelligent, and then they get caught up and start talking to these intelligent men, and then what an intelligent man does is they put everything on the table, from the past, the present, and future. Everything's on the table when an intelligent man. And women can't fathom that because, well, the average woman, when you're dealing with a regular woman, I'm not talking to the intelligent women that understand how to get a man that's ambitious, intelligent, um, protective, uh, and intellectual. See, when you're dealing with attitude and you're dealing with beliefs and you're dealing with a woman who says, I, me, what I believe, there's a couple of other words that are trigger words to an intelligent man that I'm not going to say on the internet. There's at least there's at least uh, almost 10 key words that we hear. I gave y'all a couple of them. I'm not going to give y'all the rest of them. But there's key words that we trigger that triggers our mind to know that you're not fit to be with a intellectual man in the future. Because everybody, including myself, everybody has to look in the mirror first and wonder why their life is the way it is at this point in day and time. You have to look at your life first and then quit blaming everybody else. Quit blaming your ex-husband. Quit blaming your baby daddy. Quit blaming your father. Quit blaming your mother. Quit blaming everybody. Because when you talk to us, and the first thing you say is, "Oh, well, these men out here, they ain't nothing," or "These men out here, they don't understand. They don't understand how I feel." See, there we go. The I. They don't understand how I feel, what I want. Or they might say, "Oh, that man's weak." Was that man really weak, or was your selection process weak? Which one is it? Because you sit and you lay down with somebody, that's where relationship comes from, because you're relaying with that person. Relationship. when you're relaying with somebody, then you have to see if the ship sinks or if the ship sails, because the ship's not going to be a torpedo. It's not going to be a torpedo. It's not going to just glide underwater. The ship's either going to sail or the ship's going to sink to the bottom of the ocean. That's what ships do. That's where the word relationship comes from, because you're relaying with somebody. That's the beginning into the process of a covenant. What's the covenant? The covenant will be marriage. That is the covenant. Now, if a man's not abusing you physically, if a man's not abusing you verbally, and a man's telling you, and a man's not lying to you, those are the three top things in a relationship, because we live in a 3D world. Those are the three top things: being abusive physically, being abusive verbally, because the verbal abuse and mental abuse is the same thing, because the verbal abuse goes into the mental aspect of it. So those two are the same. And then you have the physical abuse, and then you have the lying factor, right? Those three things. Now, if a man's not doing that and he does something else, and you're married to that man, and then you decide to leave and go about your business, you might take your daughter or your two children or wherever, and you decide to venture off. That is your choice that you want to do. But then when you start looking at your life and where is it going, and then you start encountering intelligent men that are adding stuff up quickly, and you wonder why you can't keep that man, is because the reason why you can't keep that man is because we're already reading you. We already scanned you. Remember that movie, The Predator? When the Predator, he had those weapons on him. I'm talking about the Predator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatnot. They got a couple of them out right now. But he had that weapon on him, and he would scan the room, and he would know, the Predator would know if I would go in that room or not, or if I had to drop weapons in that room to protect him. That's what we do to your mind. We scan it. We scan your mind, and then we already see the future of you just off your personality, off what you say, off the vibration you give, off the energy you give, and the frequency that you're on. Those 5 things right there. We already can see the future of you. If we decide to deal with you. If we decide to deal with you, we see the future in you. And if we deal with you on a sexual level, we take you out, wine and dine you, this and that, have sex with you, and then, we leave it at that. We leave it at that because we already know the liability. See, there's a liability to all this. See, we already know, especially if you got baggage. What baggage are you talking about, New Brighton? I'm talking about the worst baggage for a woman to have. This is the worst baggage. A lot of people say it's the children, because the children play a factor depending on what level that you're on mentally, and if the man has children or if the woman has children. But it's the mental factor. See, because we are scanning your mental. We're scanning your mind. That's what we're scanning. And when we scan your mind, we can see the future of our relationship. The only reason why men stick around for a woman, and they're not talking about putting a ring on your finger. They're not talking about marriage. They're not talking about, but they talk about everything else. They put you on a pedestal. Man, we do this. We put you on a pedestal mentally because we already understand we don't see a future with you. So we put you on a pedestal mentally because Yeah, we'll take you out to eat, we'll kick it with you, we'll have sex with you, and then we leave you at that because your mental state ain't there yet. You haven't been mentally trained to be a wife, or you haven't been mentally trained to be catering to a man, because it's not about sex with intellectual men. It's not about sex. It's about the future. It's about the future. Simple as that. It's not about sex. It's about the future. Having a futuristic relationship with a woman where her mindset is at that point of evolution and at that point of being futuristic. Because a intelligent man is not going to deal with somebody who's 35 years old, 39 years old, and then still have a mindset of a 21-year-old. Because there's a lot of 25 to 30 year old women out here that are actually mature and that are actually ready for marriage. There's not a lot out here dealing with the so called black woman, dealing with social media, dealing with the news, dealing with hip hop, rap, whatever you want to call it. The way, look at this is what you do. I'm talking to the men right now. This is what you do. When you go over to a woman's house and you see what type of music, I'm not talking about what her kids play, what her children play, not the music her children play. Listen to what she plays. What is she spinning? What music is she playing while she's cleaning up her house or cooking? She might be cooking for you. She might have her children in the background. She might be cooking. They might be in the room. Listen to what music she plays. See, that right there plays a big factor on the future of you in that individual. It really does. Plays a big factor in what you're going to do with that individual. See, because this the thing. When you're dealing with 50 to 60 years of straight BS being pushed on the so-called black women with this independent feminism mindset, the independent feminism mindset that's been pushed for the last 60 to 50 years. I think it really started on full force after World War II. I'm not sure, don't have the stats. But what I'm saying is everything's about activation. Everything on this planet, I'm going to do a video about that too. Everything on this planet is about activation. See, and these people understand activating people's minds. And the so-called black woman has been activated to be an independent, cocky, self-centered, all about herself, don't care about her children. Now, not what I mean by that, and I want y'all to get emotional. What I mean by don't care about her children, I mean don't care about the future of her children. Just because you feed them, bathe them, clothe them, shelter them, or whatever, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the futuristic aspect of your children, and wonder why when you look at the statistics, and then you see all these so-called black men and black boys being gunned down in the streets by their own people, being gunned down by the streets by the police, disappearing, being kidnapped, this and that, but nobody wants to talk about the mothers and how they raised their children and how they abandoned a lot of these fathers. Now, I'm not saying a lot of fathers didn't abandon their children. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the choices. See, this is the thing. And I argue with people about this because they have a mindset of an ant. They have a mindset of an ant. See, when you let somebody into your house right? You trust that person. You trust that person to come inside your house. They done came inside your house. You trust this person. You know them. You built a relationship with them, so they come inside your house, right? Now, when you go to somebody's house and they don't know you, see, this is for all the slow people, because a lot of people out here are slow. When you go to somebody's house and they don't know you, they're not going to let you inside their house because they don't know you. They don't know what your mindset is. I just seen a video on, I'm subscribed to this one video, and it talks about home protection and stuff. And there was a guy, it was a little teenage, so-called black kid knocking at the door, and he just got, actually he just killed somebody. The little teenager just killed somebody, but he got shot. He shot himself in the process of killing somebody. And the guy didn't let him inside his house because he had the security camera out there. So he didn't let him inside his house, right? Because he don't know him. He don't know him. The example that I'm making is it's the same thing with your women's wombs. You letting people upside in your womb. You letting men inside your womb, and you letting them ejaculate inside you, and you really don't know them mentally, the future mental aspect of that person. That is different than somebody going inside your womb. People gonna be like, oh no, like I heard this one sister, because her mind's gone anyway. But that's a whole different anyway. But she was telling me, oh no, it's the same. It's the same way. This is exactly how she was saying it. It's the same way when a guy ejaculates inside a woman, and then it's the same thing when a woman lets a guy inside her. It's the same. It's both the same thing. No, it's not. It's not the same. It's not the same. That's why I use your home as an example. Because you sitting in your house, I'm talking to the so-called black women. You sit in your house right now. If somebody comes to your door and you seen them in your neighborhood, you saw them in your neighborhood, you know of them, never had a conversation with them, but you know of them, right? And they come to your house and they're like, hey, can I use your phone? It's an emergency. Anybody who's smart, I'm not even talking about intelligent. Anybody who's smart's not going to open the door. They're going to be like, hey, you want me to call the police, or what's going on, this and that, because they're trying to come inside your home. What is your home to the so-called black female? It's your womb. That's your home. That's your temple. So it is a little bit different. So you let these men ejaculate inside you, and then you end up having a baby with them. What's the next phase? What's the next phase after that? You guys are not future. Forget mental compatibility. You guys are not futuristic compatible. You find out you're not futuristically compatible. So what's the next step, right? Cut him off, put him on child support, this and that, boo, and act like, and then the so-called black woman acts like she didn't play a part in her default when she was just as equal in her default. Just as equal in the default. But what does society say? Society says, hey, you can go sit over here. You can go get on Section 8 or public assistance, housing. You can put child support on him, and you can have the independent mind frame and say, I don't need a man. But when phase 2 comes, because phase one just came. Dealing with phase 1. When phase 2 comes, that's when you're going to start seeing a lot of these people, a lot of these women out here, they're going to go through a mental shell shock. Because phase 1 was a warning. See, this was phase 1. It was a warning. It was a warning, and majority of the people didn't take heed to it. So when phase 2 comes, that's your fault. It's going to be your fault. Dealing with people that have no respect for the children. Only respect for their selfishness. being selfish. Like I said, this the key words. I'm talking to the men. This the key word. What I believe, what I think, using me. The word but. When they say but, that but word, that is a key word to knowing that they're mentally gone. They're not being extended by anybody being intellectual in their life, and they're going by what society says because they're society prone females. They are. They're society prone females. They let society raise their children instead of keeping a man in the house to raise their children. Then get emotionally distraught when he cheats on her or he has a baby out of wedlock or whatever it is. And you know what they do? They go by their feelings. Oh, I wasn't trustworthy. That plays a factor. Yeah, he should have told you the truth. He should have told you he had a woman on the side. I understand all that. But then you forget about the children. And see, that's why a lot of these black children out here are running around in the streets, not respecting women, just running around in the streets, being thugs. The statistics speak for themselves when there ain't a so-called black man, a carbon-coated being inside the home. The statistics speak for themselves. Look at the other races. They laugh at the so-called black race every day. It's because nobody wants to make a sacrifice. The men want to make more of a sacrifice than the women do. That's the statistics. The men be like, okay, I was talking to her, but I still want to work it out. The woman get emotional and be like, no, I don't want to work it out. You know why? Because they're worried about what their family think. They're worried about what their girlfriends think. They're worried about what their job thinks, but they're not worried about the children. Not worried about the children and having a father in their life, a balance of masculinity energy and somewhat of a feminine energy. Because if you're already at that point, your feminine energy is not really you still submentally walking around with a penis. Some of you women are, but yeah, and everything's about activation. Everything is about activation. When somebody ejaculates inside you, talking to the so-called black females, what happens? Your womb gets activated. The embryo in your body gets activated. Your body starts changing. It starts evolving to what? Conceive a child and get ready and prepared for birth. Everything's about activation. That's why I say I'm the activated one. Because everything. What happens when you get a fire? When you get a fire, there's a fire in your neighborhood, you got to call the fire department and what? Activate them to do what? Put out the fire. Somebody robbed somebody in your neighborhood and you saw it and you're a civilian. What do? You call the police, you activate the police to take care of that. Just like the minds of some of us, intelligent ones, are being activated. It's just the way it is. Some people are going to take heed, some people ain't. And when phase 2 come, you're going to see a lot of mental breakdowns, a lot of people that's not going to be worthy of moving forward. That's what you're going to see. And I'm not going to break down the other words. Like I said, this summer I got a lot of stuff going on. People are going to start having to pay for this stuff. The intel, I got a lot of teachers that have been pushing they've been pushing the plasma portals. A lot of teachers have been pushing the junk DNA activation. They're supposed to, because the intel's still coming. Intel's still coming, but in order for this planet to move forward, you gotta pay for the intel. It's the activated New Brighton, the Futuritarian. I'm gonna say peace, and I'm also gonna say like, share, subscribe. The quicker y'all do that, the quicker the world will alter. See, because people are watching this. People are watching this. I'm not just talking about people on this planet. People are watching this. They're seeing who likes and who doesn't. The soul is real.